Alright guys, if you're just coming in, we're going to be talking about the candlestick pattern recognition software coming from TrendSpider, and I'm also going to be going over their Heatmap system as well. Since there's not a whole lot to go over with the candlesticks or the Heatmap, I'm just going to put them all into one short video. So first things first, if you guys have your TrendSpider loaded, all you got to do is click on the patterns here to turn on the candlestick patterns. If you don't have any candlestick patterns selected, you need to go ahead and click those three dots next to the patterns, and it will bring you the list of all the candlesticks. So for right now, we can just go over a few of the basic ones. So currently I have all the dojis turned on because I like looking at doji candles. If you guys are familiar with my channel, you know that a lot of the candles that I trade are typically dojis. So actually we can just leave these on for now. I'm currently using the Dragonfly Doji, the Evening Star Doji, Gravestone Doji, the Hammer, the Inverted Hammer, Morning Star Doji, Morning Star, Raindrop, Shooting Star, and I believe that is it. So I currently have 9 selected. You can select as many as you want, but obviously if you select more, it's going to clunk up your chart. So you don't want to have too many selected, especially not too many of kind of the same candle. So once you select the candles that you want to use, it's going to highlight them on your chart with these blue boxes. And then it's also going to give you little acronyms to tell you which candlestick pattern is being highlighted. So you have right here, we've got a shooting star, we've got a hammer, we got another hammer, we have a hammer and a dragonfly. So if it gives you multiple candlestick patterns kind of in that one or two candlestick formation, it will give you the acronyms top and bottom. We have a dragonfly there, hammer, hammer. So it's very simple. It will do this on multiple time frames, obviously. So if you have a preference on what time frame you want to trade these candlesticks on, it will reveal them on whatever time frame you have loaded. I believe it will also work on your multi-time frame as well. So if you want to set alerts for these, you kind of have to do something a little fancy here. You don't right-click the candle. That's not going to give you the alert. You can't double-click on these or anything. What you have to do is you got to go up here to create alert, and you want to go to multi-factor alert, and then you want to add the parameter, go to condition, and then whatever time frame you want to be alerted on, let's say the daily, and then this is where you make the alert for your candlesticks. So right here you grab the candlestick, and then whatever candlestick you want to be alerted on, you just type it in, and then it will come up. And right there I did doji, but you can select whatever you want. You can select hammer, whatever candlestick you want to use. It will have all the same candlesticks in here that you see on this top toolbar. So once you go ahead and create that alert, it's going to go over here to your alert list. And you're going to have your alert ready over here. So if you want to clone this alert, it has a clone function. If you want to delete it, you can also delete it there. Very simple, nothing fancy. The only hard part about it is creating the alerts. One thing I do recommend to the TrendSpider team is you probably want to make it so you can right-click the candles and then set up a candlestick alert on that candlestick. It would be even great if you could say right-click a candle here, and then it would give you whatever that candlestick formation was. It would say create alert bearish engulfing. That would be pretty solid. So that's it for the candlesticks. Very simple, as I said. If you want to use multiple candlestick patterns, you can do that. If you want to use all the same pattern, kind of like I do, you can do dojis, you can do engulfings, you can do all the stars. They've got all the textbook candlestick patterns that you would want. Also over here on the right that I didn't mention earlier is it tells you how many candlesticks are in that pattern. So for example, 4 green candles, obviously that one's a little easy. You have 4 candles. Abandoned baby, that's going to be 3 candles. So it's going to tell you how many candles are in that pattern and how many need to play out for that candle to be confirmed. They also have little buttons that have documents. For certain candles, it doesn't have all of them, but you can click on that document button and it will lead you to their write-ups for these candles. So like, for example, the doji must have opened quite equal to the close and then neither bullish or bearish when considered alone. The dark cloud cover, first candle, long white candle, second candle, black candle that opens above the previous day high. So it's going to give you these descriptions on what these candles exactly are. That's it for the candlesticks. I'm going to go over their heat maps here. So their heat maps, they've got 4 different heat maps. I only recommend really using 2 of them. The depth and trends are a little confusing, not very easy to trade. I'll go over them and show you kind of what they look like, but I'm going to start off with the 2 main ones. So the first one here is the horizontal. So what the horizontal heat map does is it looks for clusters of wicks in the same area. So you have low wicks, you have high wicks, you have candle closes and candle opens. So it looks for clusters where those lows or highs or the wicks are in one zone. And it will mark that as a heat map. It will mark it with a red shading. So for example, this one over here, we have a lot of low wicks. You have the low wicks coming in from these 2 candles. You have the high wicks coming in from these candles. You've got a low wick there, high wicks here, high wicks here, low wicks there, high wicks there. So as you can see, that's going to mark that as a heat map, as a hot zone, because you have multiple wicks in that same price range. So that price range is going to be from about 10,200 to 10,270. And as you can see, it was created way back here. And you also have that beautiful test before that bounce that gave you about a 3 to 4% bounce here. So if you were using TrendSpider, you were watching this heat map here, you could have placed a long trade in this heat map. And once it bounced, you could have taken profit towards that other heat zone, that hot zone at 10.5. Same thing on 10.5. You got low wicks. You got all your low wicks there, about 5 low wicks, and you've got a couple of closes on these candles as well, along with that high wick there at 10.5. So wherever these zones are that have multiple wicks in the same price range, you're gonna get that hot zone. And as you can see, it's going to do this on multiple time frames. We don't have any on the 2 hour there. The 1 hour, you got a nice heat map here, nice hot zone, and gave you a low bounce there, gave you another high bounce there. And then this one has not been tested yet. So for example, if you were trading this live, you can see this nice little hot zone around 10.11 to 10.50. So if you were looking to short Bitcoin, you'd be looking for a rejection in that 10,250 range. These even work on lower time frames as well, but obviously on lower time frames, you're going to get a much wider hot zone. You're going to get bigger hot zones. You're going to get more hot zones because the price action is going to be a lot choppier. So the next heat map we have here is the depth one. Let's go to a higher time frame. So like I said earlier, you can't really trade with these. They're not very appealing to the eyes. The data, the way they're revealing the data is a little hard to understand. But what they're basically going for is it's basically showing you that these are the zones that are being traded. So you don't have a lot of price action in these zones here. So you have a very thick red cloud. But the zones that are being traded, you're not seeing that thick red cloud because you're seeing a lot of price action in those price ranges. So you can zoom in here and you can see that around 9,500 you're not being shaded in because you have price action in that range. But if you look higher towards this 10.5 to 11,000 to 11.5, you're being shaded in because you don't have a lot of price action in those levels. But as I said, it's kind of hard to visualize. Not very tradable data. More probably for longer term, looking at certain levels. Next one we have is the trend one. This is another one that's kind of hard to visualize. This is showing kind of where there are clusters and trend lines. So you can see how this area down here below all of these valleys, you have this thick red cloud that gives you kind of that that price range of that support. So you have supports coming in from these multiple trend lines, so it's shading in these zones that are provided by those multiple trend lines. Where you have these areas of kind of choppiness and sideways action that doesn't really give you the highs and lows, you're not going to get the shaded. You're not going to get the shaded in hot zone because you don't have a whole lot of highs and lows to draw your trend lines off of. So what you basically want to visualize here is, for example, if I take trend lines and I'm drawing these trend lines from all of these highs to lows, or high to high, these clusters are going to be where you're getting a bunch of different trend lines in kind of the same area. So like if you take this high to this high, this high to this high, that area is shaded in darker because you're going to get multiple trend lines kind of all collapsing in that same range. This is definitely a lot more tradable than the depth one, but it's still a little hard on the eyes. They probably need to work on visualizing this a little better, but it's definitely helpful if you're just going to a daily or a weekly and you kind of want to see where most of the support and resistance from your trend lines is going to be. So just by zooming out here, you can see that you have the thickest red sections right here kind of on the local price action would be around like 10.2, and then coming in as support, your thickest is actually acting as resistance now. So you can see how kind of this thickest red cloud went from being support to being resistance. So as you were watching this, if you were using this depth chart and you saw it break downward and pop back, you could have seen that that was going to be a lot of resistance in that 10.6 to 11,000 range because of that long-lasting support from those trends. So same thing here. We have this thick area of downward resistance lines. So if we're able to break through this and pop back downward, so let's just visualize this here. If we're able to break through this and pop back downward, you have that thick hot zone that can act as support. So this just gives you kind of that way to visualize multiple different trends in the same price range. And you can see it on lower time frames as well. So you can see how kind of the strongest trend here on the 4-hour was this ascending trend. You had this ascending trend here, and then you broke downward through that ascending trend. Once again, we can go a little bit lower. Let's go to the 1-hour. Same thing here. Your strongest trend is is this downward trend here. So you kind of have that descending wedge, that falling wedge forming, and you can visualize that with this thick red cloud moving downward. So originally, you had this thick red cloud moving upward. You can see it here, acting as support. But then once you start to climb, you don't really have those trends anymore. That trend is lost, and now you have that downward trend. We could go down to like a 15-minute. Same thing here. You can see the cluster of those trend lines is all in this upper range here. So you're currently testing that cluster of trends. You're currently running into that thick red cloud of resistance. And you can see a failure happening currently. But if we're able to break this you're going to start to see more of a darker red come into the ascending side. So let's go back to a daily here. That just about covers everything. Basically, the thicker it is, the more trends are going to be clustered in that same area. And then if you're not seeing a thick red cloud, if it's giving you more of a gray background or whatever your background color is, that's basically telling you that there's just not a lot of trend lines or trends in that price range. The last one here is volume by price, which is your simple volume profile. You can see that it basically charts, if you zoom out on your TrendSpider, this is as far out as I can zoom, that is the volume profile that it's giving you. It's giving you the farthest out volume to price. So if you zoom in, you're getting the same volume profile. Now I do recommend to the TrendSpider team that they do change the way that this calculates. Maybe use more of a visible range, kind of like TradingView uses, so that it shows you the volume profile on whatever price action you have visually shown on your chart. Because, for example, when I'm zooming in here, this isn't really giving me any tradable data. It's too big when I'm zoomed in. I can't really see too much of it, but when I zoom out, it gives you a very beautiful volume profile. I do like what they're doing here. The volume profile is very clean. It is giving you just the cumulative volume. It's not showing you the buy versus sell volume, which you don't really need to see on a volume profile, because pretty much the buy and sell volume is going to be almost exact on every single level. So you are getting the cumulative volume, but as I said, the only downside is when you zoom in, it doesn't adjust its size. So that is something that I do recommend to the team, is change it so it adjusts its size based on how you zoom in. Now I can give you guys a brief synopsis of what volume profile is, but if you guys want to learn about it more in depth, I would recommend watching my volume profile video. But basically what volume profile is it shows you how much volume is traded at that price. It does not care about time. It doesn't care about the date or anything. The only thing it cares about is what is that price level, how much volume was traded at that price level. So you can see that we have a massive volume spike here at this 4,000 price level because we have that very long consolidation during that 3,000 to 4,000 range. Volume profile is showing you that the most volume on my current chart is being traded at around 3,800 to 4,000. Now, what it's also showing you is there's not a whole lot of volume being traded at around 68 to around 9,000 to even around 13,000. So it's basically showing you that as price is rising, the volume is going down. So you're not seeing a whole lot of buyers or sellers during that upper range, 12,000 to 13,000. So the overall use of volume profile is just seeing where the buyers are, where the sellers are, where is the most volume being traded. If you guys want to learn more about that, I recommend watching my volume profile video. But that is going to be it here for the Heatmap and Candlestick recognition software on TrendSpider. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments, and I will go over them the best I can. Our next video is going to be on their autofib drawing system and their multi-time frame analysis with their indicators. The last video after that is going to be on their strategy tester and their raindrops. If you guys would like to sign up to TrendSpider, feel free to use my discount code. It's at the top left, DJBT15. It will give you a 15% off discount on your subscription. And if you guys take a look at the description below, we will be doing a webinar with the TrendSpider team this Monday, which is September 16th. And that webinar will be on the strategy tester and the raindrop candlestick system. If you guys like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next TrendSpider video.